recording?
We're live.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I better get my right agenda in front of me. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the special meeting of council. Oops, that is the wrong one. For Thursday, May 12th, I will call this meeting to order. First item of business is adoption of the minutes of the Joint Services Committee meeting held March 10, 2022. Sorry, I almost forgot the two. Moved by Councillor Siemens, seconded by, can't see who's at the end of the table.
Councillor Plekas.
Councillor Plekas. Okay, now that I know where you are, you've got a different view today, so it's hard to see who's in the room.
Okay, well, I'll just let you know, we have Councillor Hamilton, Councillor Crawford, we have Doug Stewart, our financial, and Tracy Kyle.
Okay, and it looks like Councillor Hamilton is to your left? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and Councillor Crawford just put his hand
Doug
up.
Stewart is to my right.
Okay, good, I can see that, thank you. Did we vote? No, we didn't. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing no hands, all those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. First item, please, or first item is, mixing up my council procedure. First item of business is the bi-monthly James Plant report, and Jamie's gonna walk us through that. Can everybody hear us okay? On mission?
Very well.
Okay, thank you. Carry on, Jamie.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. Yes, I'm pleased to present the bi-monthly James Plant report for March and April of 2022. The plant met all regulatory parameters for this reporting period, and as of May 1st, 2,245 tons of biosolids have left the facility. Next point of interest is Appendix E, where we have the toxicity curve and our ammonia samples. Let's get there. You can see April's sample is in the red circle. It's in a good spot, quite happy with that. And that concludes the report if there are any questions.
Okay, we'll get a motion on the floor for the recommendation. Thank you. Councillor Plekas, I think that was, seconded by Councillor Siemens. So I can't, when the screen is up, I can't see anything from mission. So just chime in and identify who you are, and then our recording secretary will make sure that's in the minutes. Are there any questions?
We have no questions. No questions.
Okay, I don't see any hands here either. All those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. If somebody's opposed, please just say you're opposed, and then I'll know to come back to you. Thank you. Next item is bi-monthly water report.
Yes, thank you again, Mayor. Pleased to present the March and April 2022 bi-monthly water report. All water quality results during this period did meet regulatory requirements. That will take us to Appendix A. This shows the daily demands. Nothing out of the ordinary here. We did have a peak of 68.8 megaliters on April 20th. Next point of interest, Appendix C. This shows the monthly demands. March was up by a hair, 0.5% over the same time last year. And looking at April, though, we're down 7.5% in comparison, and that's primarily due to the colder, wet weather we've experienced. Moving along to Appendix E, this is Dixon Lake level, sitting at 100% as we have been for quite some time. Next is Canal Lake, and we'll speak to this for a moment. You can see we're at about 86%. We've actually gone up a couple ticks since this. What has occurred here, we had some required maintenance that had to be done in Dixon, hence we had to pull water from Canal Lake. That took us about 4 or 5 days to complete. And then unfortunately, after we recovered from that maintenance event, there was an incident on the logging road where someone set a car and trailer on fire right underneath of our communication and power lines, and that put the plant down for another 5 days. So as a result, we are sitting lower than we typically like to be at this time of the year. We do have some wet, cool weather. It's been kind of maintaining us for the last little while, and we do have a couple more weeks of that. But should this level start to drop and there are concerns with staff, we reactivated an old pump station in Mission last year. We did commissioning of it for the extensive purpose of being able to take water from Norrish if we have capacity and put it into Zone 4 of Mission to offset canal. So we do have the ability now to maintain reservoir levels, which previous years we didn't. So this doesn't look wonderful, but we do have ways to mitigate this should it continue on. Next point of interest is Appendix G, and that is the snowpack level. So at the time of this report, we only had the April data. So that's what you see. This is about 85% of historical average. I did hand out some updated charts to the group here today. And as of May 1st, which is the most recent information, we're sitting at 101% of the historical average. And with that, it concludes the report. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to speak to them.
Thank you. I did have a question on Dixon Lake, why, but you've answered that already, so that makes total sense now that I heard your explanation. A recommendation is moved by Councillor Siemens, seconded by Councillor Bartman. Sorry, I saw two hands go up on mission. I'll try to keep an eye on the screen. My mistake. Any questions of staff on anything in that report?
Not from here.
Okay, thank you. No hands in the room here, so all those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Thank you. Gotta flip my page over to the next. The next item is the award of contract for supply and delivery of polymers for the James treatment plant. That is you. It says here, Jamie Austin.
Okay, I wasn't sure what the batting order was. So,
Yes,
here I am
well, and I
again.
had to flip the page, so my
Yeah,
mistake.
That's okay. Okay, thank you again, Mayor. So I'm here to, with the report, this is recommending that contract 1220, 2001, 2654 for supply and delivery of polymers for the James wastewater treatment plant be awarded to Waterhouse Environmental Services Corporation at an annual cost of $391,520.60 plus GST for a 3-year contract with 2 optional 1-year extensions. So for some background, the contract for the polymer supply, existing one, expires as of September 1st, 2022. In preparation for this, staff in our purchasing department put an RFP out in October of 2021, which closed in November. We had 5 applicants submitting. We took the top 3 of that and ended up doing full-scale testing in the plant. Based on the results from these 3, Waterhouse came out on top with not only best results, but best pricing as well. A couple notes on this though. Unfortunately, this contract came due at a time when world pricing for petroleum is very high. Polymer requires petroleum as the base raw product that goes into this. Pricing for polymer has increased dramatically as a result of oil then going up. Going forward, staff will be requesting a budget increase for polymer in the 2023 to 2027 financial plan, and it is believed that additional contract costs for the remainder of this year from September 1st going on can be absorbed within other operating costs within the facility. Another thing with this, the fact that we're kind of tying in at a time when the market is quite high, our purchasing group was able to negotiate with Waterhouse that if a rate change comes, either plus or minus 5%, that they will provide 30 days written notice requesting a pricing change. Staff will then have time to review this and verify accuracy of this request based on data. And if and a determination would be made based on pricing then. But we feel that the city is well protected, more so protected against price decreases as opposed to higher rates coming along. We do feel that right now petroleum is at an all-time high, and over the course of the next 3 years, prices should decrease. Hence, we feel we're well protected moving forward. Mind you, there is a potential for exposure if prices do continue to increase, but we felt that was the best decision to make on behalf of the city. So that concludes this report. If there are any questions, I am happy to speak to them.
The recommendation is moved by Councillor Bartman. Seconded by, now I have a much better view of mission. I think Councillor Plekas, I see that hand. I don't know what our staff did, but it's much better. Questions, Councillor Bartman?
So you said in a 30-day or monthly rate review, in other industries, it's changing like weekly or daily. So how does that fit in? If there's a huge spike, does it get tendered, or is there enough built into absorb that from the company's point of view?
Yes, thank you, Councillor. Through the mayor, the intent of this was to only when there is an increase of plus or minus 5%, that's when action would be put in place. The other options that purchasing looked at was a quarterly review with Waterhouse, and it was felt that that would give us too much exposure. We felt we're more protected with a shorter term of 30 days versus potentially 90 plus.
Anyone from Mission? Councillor Plecas?
Yeah, I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Just curious to know that, and I thank Jamie for the commentary in regards to the negotiation of the pricing. I just want to know when you talk about a 5% adjustment, does that go downward as well? That if there's is there any adjustment should we get a significant decrease in oil price? Because we know there's way high right now, but what happens if they start to go down considerably?
Yes, thank you for the question. Through the mayor, yeah, it's designed to be plus or minus 5%. So if there is a decrease of more than 5%, we would see a reflection, the equal decrease in our costs as well.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Good, thank you. I had the same question when I read the report. I was going to ask staff, should we be locking in for 3 years given the high prices of oil, and can we put in a clause to revisit this? So Jamie's already answered that. I didn't know that until this morning, because this is a 47% increase from what we were paying. And given the geopolitical situation around the globe, whenever that changes for the positive, you're going to see, I think, oil go down. So I'm glad. So if it's a 5% decrease, we send a letter, or that just automatically happens? Or we've got mechanism in place that gets reviewed?
Yes, that's being reviewed by Waterhouse on a regular basis.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I feel much better because I thought, I don't know if I want to lock in for 3 years. Councillor Siemens.
I just wanted to comment that I appreciate the extent that you've done this, because I know in our business we have the same challenges, and so you've done it exactly the way the private sector would have done it. So much appreciated.
To the mayor, thank you very much, and a lot of the kudos goes to that man right there. Tim is actually the one who stick handled those things. So thank you to the purchasing group.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? I don't see any other hands in the room or on the screen, so all those in favor, yes, we have a motion, right? Yes, we do. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you, Jamie. Next up is award of construction services for the treatment plant roof replacement, and it says here Thomas.
I'm
there
here.
You are. Yes. Have you been here before?
Not to this committee, no.
Okay,
No.
so
The report to UMC a couple weeks back, so it's
Okay.
the first time here.
cool.
You have arrived.
Yes.
So, yeah,
So does everybody in Mission? They've been in. They know who he is.
So Thomas is our manager of civic buildings, and he looks after all of the improvements to our buildings, any roofs going on, any outside improvements and inside improvements. And Thomas and his team look after that for the city.
Good, thank you. I'm hoping everybody heard that in the Mission side.
Yes, we did. Good.
Perfect, because I think we probably have a different system for speakers as well. So I'm just checking to make sure you can hear everything. All right, Thomas, over to you.
great, thank you. So I'm here today just to introduce the report 020-2022 for the award of optional scope for RFP 1220-2021-2675 construction services for James Wastewater Treatment Plant roof replacement. And we're recommending today that the optional scope of the RFP be awarded to Transwest Roofing Limited in the amount of $210 or $210,652 plus GST. In November 2021, the city issued an RFP for the replacement of 2 roof sections on the administration building at the James Wastewater Treatment Plant. The project included a base scope for the roof section over the office portion of the building and a second optional scope for the roof section over the laboratory portion of the building. The responses were evaluated and Transwest was the preferred proponent. However, when the city offered the contract to Transwest in February, they declined, stating that the unexpected market conditions had increased the roofing material costs significantly and they could not proceed with the project at the original proposed pricing. So at that point, purchasing negotiated with Transwest and revised their pricing for the base and the optional scopes. The revised pricing was vetted and it was accepted by the city, by the purchasing department. So in order to commit to the project and secure the contractor for a project schedule this summer, the city approved the base scope of the work at the revised proposed price of $159,376,000. And now the city is recommending that this committee authorize the optional scope of work at a proposed price with an additional 10% contingency of $210,652. And if there are any questions, we'll be happy to address them now.
Okay, there's somebody, if we can switch back to the screen for mission so I can see them, it would help me. Thank you. Is there any, so I need a motion to,
Move it.
thank you, Councillor Plecas, seconded by Councillor Siemens. It's before you. Any questions of staff? Don't see any hands here. I don't see any hands on the screen. I did make a note when I read this, unlike the polymers, of course, which we need all the time. The condition assessment of the roof, could we get, did staff, I should ask it in the form of a question. Did staff look at maybe perhaps deferring it until the oil prices come down? Because I'm guessing it's related to oil again.
To the mayor, yes, what we expect is that the roofing price increases is due to oil. The membranes used for roofing are typically bitumen-based products. We didn't look at deferring at this point in time. The increase was, I think, 7% and 9% for the optional and the base scope. So relative to this project, it was not significant. It was not as much as 47% that you saw for polymers. And the need for the roofing is I would say high right now. There are active leaks inside the building. It's creating operational problems for the team.
That was going to be my next question. Are we chasing buckets around the room? So if that's the case, you don't want to defer it because you may have expenses, higher expenses in other areas because we didn't replace the roof. So yeah, you've answered my question. Thank you. Anyone else? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you. And thank you, Thomas. Good job. Next is the award of the trickling filter 1. Cell 4 repair and media, and Michael is going to do that. And I think Michael is new here for the first time too, or am I wrong? No? Oh, he's been here before? Okay, my apologies.
It's all good.
You're probably wearing a mask the last time you were here.
I was, yes.
People look different now that I see them without masks.
Would it help if I do this?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, actually, yeah. And I didn't know you had a beard until now, or until today. Anyways, my apologies.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. The next report recommends the contract award for the repair and media replacement project at the James Plant Trickling Filter number 1, cell number 4. The trickling filter media was purchased under a separate contract that was actually awarded at the last JSSC meeting. The media in cell number 4 has reached the end of its service life and needs to be replaced to ensure that the plant can continue to meet its effluent quality targets. Once the media is removed, the engineer will inspect the concrete in the cell and give the contractor direction on the scope of the repairs. A public request for proposals was issued and only one proponent responded. Staff worked with the consultant and the city's procurement division to evaluate the proposal submitted by Polycrete Restorations. Polycrete's pricing has increased from their 2020 pricing for the previously completed trickling filter cell, that was cell number 3. The increase in cost of $204,180 is considered reasonable given the expanded scope due to the configuration of the cell and inflation in the construction industry. It is recommended to award the repair and media replacement contract to the only proponent, which is Polycrete, in the amount of $1,182,653. Thank you. And any questions?
Thank you. If I can get the screen back up for mission, let's get a recommendation or a motion on the floor and then we'll have a question. Moved by Councillor Siemens, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. I see that hand. Questions of staff in the room or no, don't see any. I'm always a little concerned when I only see one bid, but is there, so my question is, why do the staff know why there's only one bid?
To the mayor, it's a fairly specialized type of work. It's also a really gross work.
Yes, I know that.
To be honest, and actually for this cell, we've only had one bid. For the last cell, we had 2 bids. For the
Yes.
previous cell, we had 1 bid, and for the first cell, I believe we had 4 bids. But we've only seen this number of bids for the last 3 cells.
yeah.
So I think it just comes down to it's fairly unique type of work, and it's also people just really don't want to do it. Polycrete's got a very good system down, and they kind of understand the work. So.
And 20% increases in the construction, I mean, I'm hearing that everywhere. Increases, just supply chain disruptions, a whole host of other things that I won't go into detail. So I was just curious, because I do remember only 1 bid a number of years ago. I just get nervous when there's 1 bid, because how do we know somebody?
And we have approached other firms as well,
Yeah.
just to try to get them interested in it and see if we can get bids on it, and nobody
It's
seems
too
to be
yucky.
Yeah, so-
I get that part. Rob?
And just to supplement that, this is very specialized work in that it's confined space entry, and they have to put significant safety plans in place where this company's already done the work previous and has those safety plans that they can reuse in this case. And so, you know, because another company would have to develop a way to get in and out safely, that's not worth them to bid on this work.
No, that makes total sense to me. Anyone else? Don't see any other hands up in the room or on the screen, so ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. And I know Sabrina, so Sabrina is next, so I don't have to say that. Is this the first time you've been here?
Okay. So we've got the March 2022 statements up there. I'd actually like to start with the year-end statements. Oh, I've got the clicker. Right. Okay, so the first report I'm presenting today is the audited 2021 financial statements. So overall, operating and financial activities for both water and sewer were within the approved plan for the year. The required municipal contribution for each of water and sewer was lower than expected, resulting in a favorable variance of $472,000 in water and a $1.2 million favorable variance in sewer. The water operating statement had an overall net favorable variance, primarily due to lower costs in general services due to vacancies and salary costs and lower internal labor charges throughout the year. There were lower costs than expected in water conservation expenses due to lower uptake on the rebate program than expected. These lower costs were offset by higher maintenance during the year, which occurred for various reasons. There were upgrades on the McClure Reservoir and extra maintenance work, such as the replacement of sensors, lamps, and other parts at the Canal Lake UV water treatment plant. The sewer operating statement had an overall net favorable variance of $1.2 million. On the revenue side, industrial extra strength charges came in higher than budgeted by $114,000. Disposal fees came in at $405,000 higher than budgeted, which is mainly driven by the temporary acceptance of Chilliwack septage due to the Chilliwack plant closure. On the expense side, wastewater treatment operations and maintenance had a favorable variance, mostly due to the pasteurization system that's remained out of service. Environmental management also came in lower than budgeted due to the flood event and subsequent road closures that resulted in 2,800 tons of biosolids that were not hauled off site between November 15th and December 31st. And we'll see that come through when I present the Q1 statements. Water capital projects had capital spending of $647,000, and those projects in progress had approved budgets totaling $8.1 million. Sewer capital projects had total spending of $2.9 million across all projects, and the total approved budget for those was $20.4 million. That concludes the report for the year-end 2021 financial statements. I'll pause there for questions before I present March 2022.
Okay, thank you, Sabrina. Any questions of Sabrina on the report? Don't see any hands in the room here or on the screen. So is this is just a portion of the report, right? So we'll wait for her to receive?
It's 27. Change order.
Yeah. This is jumped an item.
Yes, I know,
Yeah.
but I'm just, I wasn't sure from what Sabrina said whether she was finished her presentation on the report.
On this report, yes.
Yes, okay. So if we could have a motion to
So,
move the recommendation, moved by Councillor Plecas, seconded by Councillor Barkman. Any discussions, questions? I don't see any hands in the room or on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you, Sabrina. So appreciate the information. Good job. Next item, now we go back to,
Q1 statements.
yes, wait, you're still up.
Thank you. So for the Q1 2022 financial statements, we won't have projections until June of 2022. So until then, all the analysis presented here is comparing Q1 of this year to Q1 of last year. So for water operating, the main activity this year shows general services is lower than Q1 of prior year by about 62,000, which is due to lower salaries and benefits due to vacancies. Maintenance is also lower than the same time last year by 137,000, which so far is mostly just due to timing of invoices. Sewer operating expenses are 118,000 higher than the same time last year. They're higher, but the main reason for that jump is the biosolids that we talked about. The costs are 111,000 higher in March 2021, but again, due to the timing of when the extra tons of biosolids were hauled away due to the road closures at the end of 2021. In water capital, a total of $70,000 in spending for the year so far, and those projects have a total budget of 2.1 million. For sewer capital, there's been 64,000 spent so far with a total budget of 2.8 million. And that concludes the report for Q1. Any questions?
Good, thank you, Sabrina. Motion to receive, moved by Councillor Siemens, seconded by Councillor Crawford, I think that is. Any questions of staff on the report, on the, Councillor Plecas, over to you.
yeah, thank you. I just, in looking at the previous report and this report and the biosolids, the loss of 111,000, yet 87,000 from the previous month. I just want to, is that a net, the difference between the two, or is it 111,000 overall loss? Because you gained 87,000 by not transferring the biosolids in the previous year. Now in this first quarter, we've lost 111,000, or that's what the extra expense was. So is there, the reason why I'm asking the question, was there any opportunity to get recovery through the flood mitigation provided through the federal and provincial governments, or is that just such small potatoes? Fair question.
Yeah, through the mayor.
Makes sense?
So the 111,000 is overall, the
Okay.
overall expense, yes.
Over and above but you gained from the last year, right? 87,000. So it's over and above the 87,000 that you gained from not spending, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So my second part of that question is there any opportunity through any flood mitigation recovery for any of that $111,000, or is it just simply something we need to absorb in the system?
Through the mayor, I don't actually have that answer now, but I can take a look and get back to you on that question.
I'm curious. I know it's small relative to the loss that Abbotsford had over that flood period, and I'm just curious to know if there's any opportunity at all, or simply it's so small in relative to what you lost overall in Abbotsford that this is something we have to absorb.
That's a good question. I actually never thought of that. But anyways, we'll find out if there's an opportunity to claw back some money. We've been arm wrestling quite a bit, so this will be one more arm wrestle.
I know.
Councillor Siemens.
So what you have.
Just on the operating, there was, I guess, last year we had a surplus in the operating because of the variance in salaries, and it seems to be continuing. Is there a point where there will be a catch-up once the appropriate people are hired, or are we going to see maybe a spike in consultant fees, or how does that play out?
Yes, through the mayor to Councillor Siemens. Yes, so either we will see that catch-up come through throughout the year. If we've seen vacancies for Q1, a lot of times there will still be a little bit of savings there, but it depends on the nature of the role. Sometimes that you're correct, instead of having a full-time employee, we've contracted out the work instead. And so we see the spike depending on the type of service there. But a lot of times we'll see it just catch up throughout the year.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Any other questions in the room or on the screen? I don't see any other hands. You ready for the question? All those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Thank you, Sabrina, for that report. And the next report then is amendments to the officer designation. It says here Kamal, but I don't see Kamal. Oh, you're here. Okay. You're Kamal. Thank you, Tim. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So I'm here to present the report for the amendments to the officer designation delegation authority bylaw. On May 9th, Abbotsfd City Council adopted the bylaw. So it's bylaw 3257-2022. Amendment number 2, it's to be received for information. The amendments to the bylaw were to change the authority limit of the city manager from $350,000 up to $1 million, just to be in line with current practices and remove those smaller contract values from council.
Good.
Any questions?
And now we're, because of the agreement between, or this joint services agreement, that's why this is before us.
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. Well, first of all, let's get a motion on the floor to, I think this is more than receive, receive for information.
Yes.
Motion is moved by
Hamilton?
Councillor Hamilton, I think I saw that hand, and seconded by Councillor Barkman. Discussion, questions? Everybody understands, this will reduce, the reason the city did this is because it reduces the amount of paperwork that comes to council, and it's already been approved through the budget process, so it just alleviates staff or I guess it's paperwork, and work that goes into producing those reports, so it's just being a little bit more efficient, but it still allows for the oversight. Like the polymer contract, by itself, it would not exceed, I don't think it exceeded, but over a 5-year period, it does exceed it, so this would just eliminate that step. So that's maybe a backwards way of saying it, but, and maybe Mission is doing this already. Maybe your authority is even higher than ours. I didn't check.
Just so you know, Mayor Brown, I believe we've already done that. We made some adjustments. Staff brought to our attention recently in the last 2 months. We've done that as well.
So
I think that, yeah, this is not new to us, but I think the question was raised as to whether or not, the authority, because Abbotsford's the operating entity for the joint services from the point of administering the thing. I think there was a question raised as the mention of Mission in here, and it wasn't in the language. So I think we need to, we acknowledge that Abbotsford's the operating authority for the joint services on behalf of Mission. Is that correct in saying that?
Yes, thank you. But we also want to keep you apprised of what we're doing over here. So. Good, thank you. I don't see any other hands in the room or on the screen. All those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. And that brings us to adjournment. And so if somebody can move adjournment, moved by Councillor Siemens, seconded by Councillor Barkman. All those in favor, motion carries. We'll have a 2-minute break while you log off and come back in closed. We'll see you momentarily.
I want to see if I can check the